So I'm Karen Skitzine. I'm a pediatrician at ETSU and professor, and then director of the Child and Family Health Institute. And I've just been chatting with our speakers for the collaborative series today. Katie Duval is our host and is the coordinator for the institute. So welcome everybody who's joining us. As I was just saying, we'll wait a few minutes before we get started. We do offer free continuing education credits for this series now. And so you've got all the instructions there about how to get those credits. So just feel free to unmute yourself and ask questions if you have problems, or put questions in the chat, and our CME office and Katie are available to help you with that. I do ask also if people wouldn't mind to introduce themselves in the chat. Just say your name and your organization or capacity in which you are joining this collaborative series today, and we'll get started in a few minutes. So Katie, I saw someone was having trouble with the audio connection, that they couldn't hear us. So I put a tip in the chat for how to address that, but you may have other ideas if they still have problems.
Looks like she was able to fix it.
Excellent. Okay. Excellent. Great, Catherine. Okay. Well, we are continuing to get some people signing in, and thank you everyone for introducing yourselves. It's great to have folks here from across the region today. I'm just scrolling through the list. We'll get started with some introductions in just a moment. There's instructions on the screen for signing up to get continuing education credit for today's session. So okay, well, I think we've got a great crowd here, so I'm going to go ahead and kick things off and get us started. So welcome everybody to the collaborative series. I am thrilled to have the honor of introducing Samantha Gray and Catherine Wilson Thompson, our speakers today. They're going to be talking with us about normalizing and encouraging universal parenting education. So, and this is really kicking off the series for this academic year. We took a break over the summer, We have, I think, some really great speakers and topics that we're going to cover in this series this year. I'm still finalizing dates for a few of them. So we've had some slides displaying some of the upcoming topics related to breastfeeding, marijuana use during breastfeeding. We also plan to have a talk featuring Tennessee's Commission for Children and Youth, TCCY. We're going to have one on early childhood literacy. We are hoping to have another session on maternal mental health and perinatal mental health. So lots of things in the works, and we should have, more details about the full schedule very soon. But let me get to introducing Samantha and Catherine. The session is being recorded. I will help monitor the chat, as will Katie. So if you have any thoughts or questions, feel free to drop that in the chat. I know they're going to be doing some interactive stuff with you all today to engage everyone in the session. Samantha Gray is the Parenting Program Coordinator for Appalachian Promise Alliance's Parenting Education Network and former Executive Director of Nurturing. She holds a master's degree in international development with a focus on communication for development from the George Washington University. She's also a member of the National Parenting Education Network. She served on the Appalachian Promise Alliance Board of Directors for 17 years and is passionate about helping parents and children flourish with community support and evidence-informed understanding and practices. Samantha has worked as a parenting educator for 22 years and has worked with youth and parents for even longer. She is certified in a wide range of parenting programs. I'm just going to list a few of those. These include nurturing parenting, attached at the heart, supporting school success, life skills. She's also an accredited La Leche League leader and has completed training in postpartum support, international perinatal mood and anxiety disorders, business case for breastfeeding. She's also a certified baby wearing consultant. So just a wide breadth and depth of training and experience. So we're thrilled to have her here today. Her colleague, Catherine Wilson Thompson, is an international board certified lactation consultant, or IBCLC. She has a background in behavioral science, specializing in early childhood development. She's been working in the field of human lactation for 26 years. She's currently providing direct lactation management services through private practice. She acts as a subject matter expert, creating and procuring educational materials and managing a multi-million-dollar breast pump loan fleet for a federally funded program. She is certified in the Attached at the Heart Parenting Education Program, is an accredited La Leche League leader, has training in business case for breastfeeding, and is a trainer for that program. She is also a certified tummy time method educator and a baby wearing consultant for the Center for Baby Wearing Studies. So again, such a wonderful breadth and depth of experience. So thank you both for presenting and leading our discussion here today, and for everyone joining us. I'll go ahead and turn things over to you, Samantha.
Thank you so much, Karen. And it's great to be with everyone. There's lots of friends here today. That's kind of nice to see some familiar names and faces. And we're really excited to share with you. I'm very passionate about this work, as Karen mentioned in the bio, that we really think that parenting education, learning about parenting, is for everyone. So am I good on my slide showing?
Yes.
Yeah. All right. So I'm going to kind of go quickly because I got a lot of stuff I want to show you, because I want to get to the more visual stuff. It's a lot more fun. Let me get my screen up. All right. Here we go. So the topics we're going to cover are really getting into how do we normalize and destigmatize parenting education, social marketing, and it's a field I'm kind of bringing from years of experience in working in HIV/AIDS prevention around the world and child survival and other areas of how do we use kind of commercial marketing techniques to get people to adopt health behaviors. And so that's some of what we're trying to do with parenting education. Also, we have our Parenting Educator Network, where we are working hard to address gaps and build capacity so that there's kind of no excuse, like there's constantly something available for the child of the age that you have. There's something available at the time you're available. There's something that's affordable for you. There's something local to you. And that is part of our goal to kind of really build that capacity. And then I'm excited to share some of the resources we have at what we affectionately call the Parenting Suite, which is a suite of rooms in a location, a brick and mortar place at 100 Ash Street in Bristol, but serving the region as Appalachian Promise Alliance. And then Parenting Suite, SWEET, kind of speaking to that community of resources that we're sharing. All right. So just to give you a little background in case you're not familiar, Appalachian Promise Alliance used to be known as Bristol's Promise, but now we're quite regional. Came out of America's Promise and the Community That Cares kind of surveying. And even before that, the Youth Networking Alliance, which has been so important to our community. And it has these 5 promises for caring adults, safe places, a healthy start, an effective education, and opportunities to serve. And so really proud to carry on that legacy now for, oh my goodness, since the late 90s. And what you might recognize those promises from America's Promise, but also those are kind of born out of the 40 asset spot created or kind of identified by the Search Institute, which is what makes these children able to serve, to thrive and really succeed in life. And so you can go on our website actually and look at our vision and mission, but I just want to draw your attention to it because I hope that this will inspire you to go check out the website, what we're doing at Appalachian Promise, where we really are trying to create that foundation and kind of nurturing place for those 5 promises for all of our nonprofit and even businesses in our community, so we can really holistically get behind child flourishing. These are some of the kind of formalized programs we have. And again, kind of like the network is looking, what are the gaps? Appalachian Promise looks at what's missing in our community. And we said, these are some of the things. We need a workplace program that helps support families and break cycles that are not healthy. We need diversity, equity, inclusion. We also have a PACES and resilience program. You can actually join the Resilience Network if you're interested in that. And we have Buckle Up for Life. We have the Parenting Network I mentioned, the Poverty Awareness and Education Program, and the Youth Networking Alliance, as well as Reading Buddies, Twin City Reads, and I'm probably leaving out something. So I hope that you'll go check that out, but I want you to understand kind of where we're grounded in. But this is what we're going to talk about today. And we have a little poll for you. We're going to talk about Make Parenting Sweet. So I'd love if you'd fill that out. And, as I mentioned, bringing marketing techniques to parenting education means we love to collect information. So we'd love for you to go ahead and answer that poll. And I think Katie's controlling this poll for us, right?
Yes.
Okay.
You can see it, right? You can see the responses coming in.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah. So we have lots of parents with us today. Most everyone is a parent, 81%. 92% of us are in the field of helping parents. But 56% of us have had a parenting class. Actually, I'm glad to hear it's that high. I'm amazed. That's really incredible. But 44% said no. 71%, this is your first experience with the Parenting Suite, learning about it. Great. We're so glad to be able to do that today. But many of you have heard of our programs, which is the most important part, right? Great. Thank you all for participating in that. I have some questions. I think I just shared the results. I'm not really sure. But I have some questions I'm going to put in the chat later, and I'd love for you to answer those as well. So the parenting suite, we think we're really cute. Just to kind of give you a little more context too, I think a lot of this group, the folks on here, I've noticed probably know these things. But we know that children need parents and caregivers who are tuned to a child's needs, who are responsive to their children. They know how to be sensitive in their responses. They need parents who are dependable and predictable and trusting. We talk about the 4 Ps when we teach parenting classes, and being predictable is one of those important ones. That they let children set the pace, and that all of these things help our children become highly developed with a capacity for empathy and connection. And we also recognize that this early time is really important for brain development. And we know that mothers, for example, who were nurturing during preschool years and even before, have greater brain development and can manage stress better. In our work, we really try to support what are known as the protective factors. Maybe some of you have heard of risk factors and protective factors, and that's something that we really get behind in our work, and that was also born out of the communities that care work. And also positive childhood experiences, which I think many of you have heard of now. It's more current, and Hope at Tufts is kind of holding that in trust now with a lot of great research that's been done, but it looks at parental resilience, which I'm going to talk about next, social connections, having concrete support in times of needs, making sure basic needs are met, that children have a way to contribute in character development and coping skills and a sense of control. So this is kind of our ethos, what we ground a lot of our work in, just to give you a perspective. We hear a lot about resilience. So we look at really trying to focus on prevention in our work. Not that we don't serve parents of children of all ages, but we're really looking at how can we avoid trauma? How can we nurture in resilience and even do some healing there? But in earlier and our ongoing relationships, that they would have a predictable, responsive caregiver for building that brain architecture. And then this supports executive functioning and regulation. And then in turn, that kind of releases the tension toward things that help us develop our higher skills and self-efficacy. And then, of course, then we have successful regulation. We're able to regulate and cope and have resilience. So resilience is relational for us. And parents are those resilience co-pilots. So having a consistent caregiver, last night I just taught a class on consistent and loving care, and how does that work? And you'd be surprised how much there is to learn about that. But these caregivers are providing serve and return interactions. They're providing guidance and structure, that scaffolding children need, nurturing touch, which is shocking how much we are lacking in that today because we're not getting that from early on. And then, of course, comforting in times of distress. But then the thing is, parents are supporting the children, but who's supporting the parents? So supporting parents increases child resilience. And this is kind of our motivation, right? That when we can help parents feel like they're not alone in this, that they have information, if we have ways we can help reduce their stress, we can show them how to co-regulate, they are going to have relationships that build resilience. And children who are able to plan, they're able to monitor, they're able to regulate their behavior, they're able to cope with trauma and even heal from it. We look at a real strong focus and early secure attachment. So again, that prevention area that is our priority, trying to go upstream as far as possible. You know, it's also the most cost effective, as you may know from a lot of good work that's been done out there. But close relationships with competent caregivers or caregiving adults is, you know, when you parent with attachment in mind, you're going to have that. When you have, you'll also have caregivers who are knowledgeable and apply these positive parenting skills, children's social and emotional health, and individual developmental competencies. So how do we do that? We help parents learn to spend one-on-one time with their children, how the importance of daily routines, or we also like to call that a rhythm. Nothing that doesn't have to be a schedule, hard and fast, but that there's a rhythm to life, and families feel that, and there's a lot of trust. How to teach children coping skills, positive discipline. I already mentioned about consistent loving care. Taking parenting classes is part of that, or getting parenting coaching, making time for play. And I'm learning lots of great stuff in a playful parenting training I'm doing with Larry Cohen right now. and have loved his work for a long time, and how we can integrate that and make parenting, learning about parenting fun for parents, as well as living with parents and, experiencing parenting as a child more fun as well. I'm helping parents understand normal childhood development. With COVID, we don't get to be around parents and other children. So parents are missing out what many of us got in those early La Leche League meetings we had all those years ago, where we watched someone parent their child and we went, oh, I can do that too. Oh, that do-over that parent just did with that child. I want to do a do-over. So, but what happens is parents have lost the ability to really witness normal childhood development. So they think maybe even there's something wrong with their child. But no, they just have that much energy and they need to get out and do things. And then, of course, increasing parental resilience is a big part of that. I'm going to get to all the fun stuff in a minute, but I love to make sure we're all on the same page. Unfortunately, what our families are experiencing kind of out in the world is a lot of information that might be contrary. And we still hear these things to this day, right? Put that child in timeout. They need to think about what they've done. If it's an infant crying, just let them cry it out. Toddlers should be able to control themselves. Only bad kids throw tantrums. And I still hear these things. Babies should be able to sleep through the night when they are definitely not biologically designed to do that in any way, shape, or form. So, this is kind of the world that we experience, and we recognize that some of it is, we talk about in our classes, for example, where do we get all these ideas? And really, they come from just a couple folks. When we explain how that happens and why families follow this and what was kind of the motivation to have these beliefs, that you shouldn't pick up a crying baby, for example, or you should only shake your child's hand before bed, not kiss them or hug them. You should cut off rockers because children shouldn't be rocked to sleep. All kinds of things that are pretty detrimental. What we know, though, is life is hard. We need to have caregivers, loving caregivers in our lives that may not be the parent. Ideally, it would be. Even when we have caregivers, we know still children spend most time with their parents. Caregivers, in fact, are getting training, but parents are not. We value learning about parenting and caring for children so much that there's a whole economic system surrounding providing caregivers training, but not parents. So there's also a lot of beliefs that, the parent's just not up to the task of parenting and we should give the child to someone else. But we'd like to say, hey, let's give every chance we can to help parents learn about parenting and get support from the community and the workplace. So based on our work, kind of our direction of focus is these general resilience recommendations. And this is where we get into the idea of universal prevention. And you'll hear about, universal preschool. You'll hear about kind of even with ACEs, kind of taking a universal tactic. And we do that too. We just assume that everyone has trauma. And so we try to be trauma informed no matter what we do. And using lots of research-based parenting information, taking a strength-based and resilience-oriented approach in our work. So everything is laced with that. You may be familiar, there's all kinds of research. This is just some. We kind of like to share a lot that, parenting programs are demonstrated to work. They reduce maltreatment, neglect, and corporal punishment. They increase positive parenting and parenting confidence. Parent-child attachment from parenting education helps children regulate their emotions and cope with stress better. Conversely, children who don't experience this kind of positive, raising have greater stress and negative brain development. Just a lot of really good research to support the fact that parenting education does make a difference. And not only does it make a difference, but people want parenting to be easier, right? Parenting's complicated and it's kind of easy in certain periods of life. And all of a sudden I get a call from a parent and the child's hitting about 5th grade and they're going, I don't even know my child anymore. I need help. We kind of go, oh, we wish that would have started earlier. We don't say that, but we know that the early parenting will make those later years so much easier. So parents say they want to change their parenting. They want it to be easier. So we're looking at what kind of ways we can do that to help them and give them quality information, not information that you find on social media that may not be good. Also, that community that you can't get on social media as well. The folks who will bring you a casserole when you're having a rough time. So we want to encourage that connection. So our strategies are institutionalizing and normalizing, social marketing, and recognition and advocacy. So why do we find that people don't take parenting classes? It's challenging, the time of day. There might be transportation issues. The day of the week may not be good. They may need childcare. There may be language issues. Netflix may be ruling the day, some time management, or even costs. So we talk about analyzing that, being creative. How can we use cross-subsidization to make our classes affordable? Can we teach during the workday? Can we teach during a Sunday school hour? We recognize that life's demanding. Classes are inconvenient. Maybe online can be helpful. Of course, we think that it needs to be more than that, but it's a good starting place. And I'm going to come back to this one. What are other reasons parents find it challenging? Well, or don't want to participate in parenting? Sometimes they think parenting information, they just don't think it's going to work. Like it's like a diet book. You know, I bought that diet book. I'm still overweight. That doesn't work. And they think parenting's that way. You can find on the shelves many, many parenting books with so many people with different solutions. We think the solution basically relies in relationship. They think maybe there's nothing to learn. Parenting isn't something you learn. You just kind of inherit from your parents. And we do know that without parenting education, support groups, ongoing help, we are more likely, about 80%, to parent just like our parents parented us. So to be really intentional, if we're trying to improve our parenting, we do benefit from parenting groups. We think, well, we're not perfect already. That's all right. We like to show how not being perfect is the best kind of parent. It's a chance to teach things like do-overs and sharing how we make mistakes and how we learn from those, because that's life. They also don't participate because of stigma and judgment and shame associated with being sent to a parenting class. And that's something that we're trying to change by the ways we're presenting parenting. And sometimes they just don't know if something exists. They don't know there are things out there to help, and we've got to get the word out. They start to search when things get hard. You know, when they're going, I need a parenting class or coaching or the worst, where's boarding school? How do I sign them up and get them out of my house? Because I can't deal with it. And we don't want that to happen. So our strategies include things like creating continuums, starting with childbirth classes, that openness at that time where parents are saying, you know, there's things I don't know about childbirth and pregnancy. This is a great time to start to learn. There's things you don't know, and you can continue to learn more. We want to value partnering and connecting and working together. And I work with a lot of you on this call today, and that's really exciting. And I see something really great growing out of that. We also need to work on sharing our results, looking at data, analyzing it, sharing that information, sharing it with parents as well, and getting testimonials of people who have been through the classes, showing and demonstrating how they've changed their practices and their attitudes and the results from that. And even learning to evaluate the work that we do each other when we're doing classes and getting better. How can we always have kind of a continuous process improvement in the world of parenting? Also getting to normalize parenting by talking about it, you know, putting newspaper articles in, writing letters to the editor, holding business events, getting it out there, and all the things that we do, including engaging our community leaders and influencers and having roundtables and discussions and talking about it more. They, you know, businesses want, you know, people who have essential skills in the workplace. They have a stake in this as well. It's really important. And then linking programs, you know, really looking at, you know, if you're a medical professional, integrating that into your prenatal or pediatric care, having medical practitioners attend parenting education so you can see what the content is and you know what you're recommending. I think that once you heard these classes that different parenting educators are teaching, you would probably never forget or never want to not mention how valuable parenting education support and that cohort you create of these peers and best friends who are going to go on and support you throughout your parenting. Catherine and I met in a parenting, in La Leche League more than 20 years ago, and we have supported each other through our parenting all the way through, and others are included as well. We need to offer free classes. We need to go where parents are. Maybe it's even at playgrounds, and I mentioned before, churches. And then we need to make sure our programs are high quality and aspirational, so that people want to be a part of them. Also, I'll mention a few other things like, make parenting a date night. How can we make our education programs more like that? Sell it like the gym, like it's CrossFit. People make really good connections and relationships there. Reach parents through the things they care about. They're concerned about discipline. They're concerned about their child's grades. They're concerned about balance in their home. And those are other ways, as long as we don't increase the stigma by saying this is for parents who are having discipline problems. We've got to be careful about that, but that is a way to reach parents as well. And of course, a great way is to do it by helping them recognize opportunities for their children, right? If it's a play group or a music group or a theater group, things like that. So social marketing. Social marketing is where everything in our approach is up for grabs. You might have to be ready to change the name of your program. You might even have to change your curriculum. You might have to change how you meet. How do you go about that? Where do people get parenting support? This is a study in 2015, 81% sent in a class, 41% sent a home visit. I would say probably 90% would say social media today. And again, not all of it's quality. Social marketing is talking about using the 4 Ps, product, placement, promotion, price, using mass media and social media, creating value. And I'm going to show you how we do that in a minute. Creating demand, and also the supply by saturating with accessible local classes. Using evidence-based classes, super important. But again, you have to fit the needs. And so it might be a class that's promising or emerging that is best suited to the community you're serving. Make sure real problems are addressed in the classes. A parent comes and something's not addressed, they're going to leave and not have a valuable experience and not recognize. For example, we talk a lot about temperament and helping parents understand about temperaments. A little example there. Provide free samples of your work. Do sample classes. If you already have a free class, there's other ways to do that. Something where it's short and maybe just gives people a taste of, wow, this is what you could learn. And also share the fact that you're going to generate some local support as you go through the class. Also, I mentioned before, offering alternatives, ways, if it's a study skills class, but it's laced with parenting education. It's a little music class, but again, laced with parenting education. Not a lot, just, enough. Don't overwhelm parents. Making personal connections is key. Developing relationships. You can even have your kind of street team or your team that helps promote your parenting programs. Word of mouth is really important. Surprise parents. Show them that there are things to learn. Make the classes entertaining with comedy or music. We have some different programs that do that. I always like sharing how we always learn, right? That, don't tell your kids, oh, you're so smart, right? Because one day they're going to learn, oh, you lied to me all this time. I'm really not so smart. I've met some people who are smarter than I am. And also it's supposed to kind of impede their motivation to continue to solve hard challenges. So we're supposed to recognize the fact that, hey, you did really great. I saw how hard you were working on that and you didn't give up. And yes, that's really great. But what we've learned and what we teach in some of the parenting classes is that actually backfires with teens. They value authenticity. They see right through that and they know you're just praising their attempt. So there's a lot to learn about how you parent. Our next strategy is recognition and advocacy. So we are working really hard to foster more parenting educators. We offer training. We're trying to put some weight behind it, like look at all these folks, recognizing parenting educators in the community. I write a column for the paper. I know some others do some great work like that. And I try to highlight different parenting educators in our community, like when Tammy was doing Moms Are Us. And I have another one coming up with Susan Murray, who's just been a parenting educator forever. And I love dropping these names because these are real gems in our community. Karen Scazzina is doing such great work with parenting. Read and Play is another great way to integrate parenting education, like I was talking about before with music and other programs. We want to advocate the value of prevention. That's really important, and how cost-effective that is. The success of our programs, let people know. Involving key stakeholders, the courts and schools and communities and media, legislators and insurance companies. And then I have a little bit on here on how we need to also work really hard to increase funding, because parenting education is not like a big, moneymaker. So we're gathering information all the time about parenting in our community, trying to increase awareness and fill gaps and increase demand and saturate and all these great things to increase flourishing for our children and be a model community. So for flourishing parents and children, and you kind of see the undergirding there at the top, healthcare systems, workplaces, schools, our community, every facet of society supporting it. And recognizing, this is a core cell of our community that we need to build up. So our priorities are networking and awareness, prevention, and building from strength. So just kind of sharing kind of the inside of how we look at this. It got a little jumbled on my screen. Sorry. How is offering in-person, online, using coaching classes, research, resources, referrals, networks. Who's doing this? Our team, our networks, volunteers, advisory groups. We're starting a parent advisory group. We have a parenting key. I'm glad to share that. It's kind of like a little manifesto of parenting. If anybody's interested, just let me know, contact me. Our focus areas are, prevention for 0 to 5, using Attached to the Heart, using Ah Babies, which is the Appalachian Highlands Healthy Babies, which is kind of the former La Leche League. And we're going to be sharing more about that later. Supporting school success and guiding good choices. And then our tactics, music, play, reaching people through fitness and, obesity prevention and nutrition, outreach, through touch, like using baby wearing as an entree to parenting education, using a location where people can come to, of course, social marketing. We have a catalog of parenting classes and resources, keeping it very professional and being part of a professional group. Lots of tactics to make this work. And this is I just want to show this real quick. These are the social determinants of health that we're kind of following. And then we're trying to make sure we have plenty of ways, again, kind of no excuses, to address each of these social determinants of health with lots of programs. And you'll get these slides and you can read that. More again about the strategy, using advocacy, providing training, working regionally with different kinds of efforts, the parenting clearinghouse of information. So it's kind of one-stop shopping. We have our website and e-newsletter, Parenting Suite, that we hope people will sign up and stay in tune with. It's Bristol Baby that comes out from Appalachian Promise Alliance and other partners. And every new parent, like at Bristol Regional, gets that with a bookmark in it that has resources that connects them to everything here. So a lot of interconnecting that we're working on. Bristol Connect, I said Bristol Connect. It's Appalachian Connect now. That is the workplace program, trying to connect folks there, and mention a few of those others. Now here's some visuals for you. This is a little outdoor event we had. You can see there, we're located again at 100 Ash Street. We have our own entrance there. Actually, we have there you can see in this image our signs. We're really excited about that. The banner on the side of our building. We take programs out into the community, so we're not just kind of in our spot, but we have playtime where we put out a display of parenting resources, probably a lot of your parenting resources of folks here on this call today are right on that table. And if we don't have yours, we want them. And then that's just a picture there of playtime, which starts back up tomorrow morning at 10 a.m. if you want to join us. This is about the Parenting Educator Network. And I don't think I have everybody on here, but I have lots of folks. If you would like to be a part, we'd love to have you at our meetings. The goals are to provide quality parenting education support, connect us to each other. Sometimes it's to vent. Sometimes it's to share great resources and ideas. It's to collectively generate awareness and to gather data together, kind of having a collective impact approach. We meet monthly on Zoom. Right now it's the third Thursday, but we have a survey going out. You want to fill that out so we can know if you'd like to meet for lunch, if we can shake up where we meet. We also have a Facebook group and a Mighty Network group. And we love volunteers and people to get involved with that. This is the Mighty Network group. You get notifications. It's a really great place to share information. This is a screenshot of the database of classes. You can do a quick link. You can say, give me a low cost class. I want something for preschoolers. And then we have a corresponding calendar if you want to look at it that way instead. These are some more of the groups that are involved in the Parenting Educator Network that we think are pretty awesome. Some of the materials we like to share. Some more of our folks. I'm trying to leave time for questions. Mom Power, Nurturing Parenting, Co-Parenting Part. We also do in our social marketing, partnering with the National Parenting Education Network, co-branding and sharing some things like this in social media and otherwise. These are parenting tips that will be on billboards. Just some quick, something you could act on right then as a parent. Create a yes environment for exploring. This is some more social marketing that'll be going out. Your needs are important to me. You belong here. Really beautiful messaging for parents to think about with their children. Do outreach events. This is the Baby Comfort Station. You can see the Appalachian Highlands there with lots of materials from folks. World Breastfeeding Week every year. We'll talk about that more in December. This is inside the parenting suite in our meeting room with our All Babies Open House. We have the Baby and Family Expo. So I'm showing you all these social marketing strategies and connection strategies. This is our newsletter. It just went out this week for this month. So make sure you sign up and share it with your families. The idea is it's that Trojan horse of full of like fall festival activities, trunk or treats, everything, and then parenting classes all in and through there. And hopefully your classes, we want them in there. This is the bookmark I mentioned and our little parenting suite hive that we add organizations as they join. A little flyer there. Primary Parenting is our support group, which we use it as a referral base. If a parent comes to that, we can say, oh, this is what you're needing. Oh, Cherish Mom is going to be really great for you. Strong Starts is going to be super for you. Let me get you connected. Read and Play, that's where you are. This is going to be great for you. And that's what we do. And we also answer questions there. We don't want to turn parents away without getting their questions answered. These are some yard signs, a lot of environmental media, car stickers on priming your parenting. And I'm going to turn it over to Catherine, who can probably in a few minutes talk about Attach the Heart.
I'm going to go as fast as possible here so we do have time for questions. I'm talking today as a educator, Attached at the Heart parenting program educator, share a little bit about this specific parenting resource. It's set up in a 10-week cycle, cycling through 10 different sessions. We duplicate those sessions on Thursdays and Fridays. So any given week, you're going to see it's going to be the same material covered, although depending on attendance, we may focus it a little differently depending on the age of the children involved with the parents that do attend. So just to let you know that. Some of the objectives are to improve pregnancy and birth outcomes, parent knowledge about child development. I personally have found in all of my work that the lack of understanding of child development, it is astounding. People really don't know when children should be doing specific things or, beginning to do specific things. Increase parent confidence and positive parenting skills. In Appalachia, we have a lot of pretty intense negative parenting to overcome as a resident here. To increase the levels of empathy toward children, ensure healthy attachment and resilience, and prevent trauma. Samantha's talked a lot about that. Let's see, did I miss anything in that? Professionals are always welcome. We really, really want you to experience what the program's like, and so that you can confidently say, this is a resource that I recommend. Next slide, please. These are some examples of our promotion materials. They can be good for social media and or print. They really are gorgeous in print. These are more examples, and these are some. The one on the left is specifically about promoting becoming an Attached at the Heart educator. We welcome more people to become certified and educated to become a trainer for this program. Very specifically, we would love mental health workers, childbirth workers, and lactation professionals. Not excluding anybody, yet those folks tend to have most time to put towards these kind of programs. Next slide, please. Some more educational or some more examples of our promotional materials. These are by the individual modules. Just hold it there for just a moment so everybody can read a little bit about it, and then go ahead. We'll go ahead to the next slide. So this one, don't worry about not being able to read it since it's tiny print right now, but this you'll be able to see it better when you receive the slides. This is like a breakdown. It's a rack card of the breakdown of what the 10 modules are about. For me, big important, the module 1, charting a new course, breaking the ties that bind, talking about how our own childhood experiences and paces affect the way we raise our children. Something Samantha and I have talked about all these years is parenting education to change our default. In times of stress, we default to what we already know, what's ingrained in us. And I think that parenting education can alter that and break that cycle. So module 2 is preparing yourself for pregnancy, birth, and parenting. How many of you took those kind of classes, before you had a baby? It's really, really important, and it sets the tone for your whole parenting experience. I know that because I'm a La Leche League leader, because I'm an IBCLC and I work with breastfeeding families predominantly, almost always, please be aware that this specific program very, very much is for anyone, regardless of how they choose to feed their baby. It's about feeding with love and respect. We talk about breastfeeding and attachment, but we also talk about bottle nursing to enhance attachment. But again, I focus more on the prenatal and the early childhood stuff. Samantha does the older ones usually. And that's talking more about introduction of solid foods and family meals, promoting connection, those kind of things. How much time do we have? Just wanted to check there. We talk about module 6 talks about ensuring safe sleep physically and emotionally, the importance of understanding standard infant sleep patterns, understanding, and establishing nighttime routines, etc. Module 7 is provide consistent loving care. In that module, we talk about working and alternate caregivers, but also separations due to co-parenting in family divisions. And then module 9, strive for balance in personal and family life. Understanding achieving balance, and it's not an all or nothing, and promoting healthy attachment. And then finally, module 10, I know I skipped a few, but you'll be able to read all of this. Nurturing children for a compassionate world, helping people find joy in parenting their children. There are a lot of people that don't find anything about their parenting experience joyful, and helping them find that. So next slide, please. I think I'm turning it back over to Samantha. Yes.
We're wrapping up here. Thank you, Catherine. And we have some other programs too. I just wanted to mention those that we're working on, some things like a support group for parents of children with special needs. We do, some of these are actually in place. People can sign up for these. You can sign up for Grand Connections. Tummy Time, you can reach out to Catherine. Playful Parenting will be coming soon. Of course, All Babies meets monthly. You don't have to wait till December. You can come to any of our series meetings. There's 4 meetings every month. So we're trying to add a lot of different programs again to make it so there's kind of no lack of opportunity. This is a referral resource that we can send to you, something you can just tack up if you're quickly looking for something. You're saying, you're meeting with a parent, they have a preschooler, what's available for them. It also has what are our office hours, what are our social media resources are, online or training that we offer for people who want to become parenting educators or add to their work. Or a lot of people take like Attach the Heart training as professional development to weave into the rest of the work that they do, because it's really excellent program. We just want to invite you all to follow our social media posts, Appalachian Promise Alliance. You can also please send us your events for our e-newsletter that goes out, and sign up for it and share it with parents. You can share all of our handouts. We want your handouts. Take classes, get trained. You can join our online network, attend the monthly Parenting Educator Network meeting if you're interested. Come visit us. We love visitors. And just to kind of finish out, we're fond of Dr. John Bowlby, the father of attachment theory. He said, if a community values its children, it must cherish their parents. And we believe that that's very important. And we'd love for you all to help us do that. And we're ready for questions if there are any.
All right. Thank you so much. That was an amazing overview of just so much work that you are doing, Samantha and Catherine. I made a whole page of notes on some of the language that you use, and then your framework for building and sustaining and normalizing parenting education. So let's, as they said, let's open things up for questions, comments, sharing. You feel free to unmute yourself. You can put your camera on if you want. I'm also, we'll monitor the chat if folks prefer to ask questions or share comments in the chat. I will help you with that.
We are so excited about the turnout today.
Yeah,
I am too. Great turnout.
The parenting suite has been a dream of Samantha's and mine for as long as we've known each other, pretty much. And this has always been our goal. So we are so excited to collaborate with all of you with this. Anybody have any specific program, program that really caught their attention that they want to know a little more about?
Well, I have lots of thoughts and questions, but for instance, you mentioned the suggestion of integrating parenting education into checkups, into medical visits, pediatric visits. So, and I'm a pediatrician, and that has been something that we've tried to do in different ways and do. But of course, for ETSU pediatrics, we have our offices in Washington and Carter County. I do think a lot of the barriers that you mentioned, things like transportation and just competing priorities and necessarily competing priorities, can sometimes make it harder for us to recommend a parenting class and actually have folks make it to that. Mm-hmm. So we've tried to integrate as many things into the 10 to 15 minute visit in our clinic as possible, and also do community outreach, but there's only so much time in a visit. I just wondered what would you recommend, again, given that location in our region, good options for connecting our patients, our families to parenting education classes?
That is definitely a challenge, and I recognize that. I would always say, pediatricians and healthcare providers have a lot on them already.
Mhm.
And I think ideally would be referring out, like, hey, here's a really great resource in the community. Let's get you connected to that. It's going to be helpful. Or even kind of as a preventive, and it's not that I see you're having a problem. We think this is great for everyone. Go ahead and let's get you started on that. Like this is part of your checkups. You go to this parenting class or support group, and it won't be for everyone, right? I think a long view could be taken to where it's looking, when you have people who come in who you're in rural communities and they look like they have the potential to become a peer educator, to become a support group facilitator, which means they don't have to be an expert. They're facilitating with kind of prepared materials and responses, and they're trained, maybe identifying that, and let's build up the community so there is that support, that it's not on the healthcare providers. Because I do think that's much. I mean, I do, I had a pediatrician who once gave me a prescription on his prescription pad. He wrote a little thing to me and he said, read the book margin. And it was so wise. So I think to me, that says that healthcare providers have a tremendous influence on parents. And, even then I had already been teaching parenting classes for, I don't know, 7-8 years. And I still had things to learn. And it was valuable to me coming from someone who I felt cared about me. I do think it's tricky. I think referrals is probably the biggest thing in helping to identify people who can become part of that community so we can build a bigger community of support. But yeah, I don't think in 10 minutes, 15 minutes, you're going to be able to do a whole lot except maybe hand some resources and say, I know this works, or I've, giving that testimonial. That's what I would say off the top of my head.
I think another thing is organizations scholarshiping training for parent peer educators for receiving education to become peer educators. Sometimes there's, you see something in a parent that maybe nobody else has ever. They've never had anybody say something positive, see something positive in them that they're worthy to share to their peers. And I think that is a really big thing too. And again, it's hard for you to do in 15 minutes.
Yeah, I like the strengths-based focus for sure. So we've got some comments in the chat. We have a question from Catherine. In my experience, some parents feel that asking for or seeking parenting classes suggests a deficiency on their part. What is the best way to overcome that barrier in offering parenting support?
And that's one of the big reasons we want to advocate universal parenting education. So like if we're flooding our community with it, it's something everybody does. Our mayor does it, our superintendent of schools does it, everyone participates in it and says, oh yeah, it's great. Of course. How would you, do this otherwise? That's one piece. Another is, offering parenting education before you actually get to know them, and you would be aware of any deficiencies. And that would help break down some of that. And I think also being vulnerable, depending on what field you're working in, saying, hey, it really helped me. And I do every time I'm teaching the class or I'm talking to parents. It's made a difference in my life. Sometimes I teach, I've taught the same class over and over and over again. And I'm like, it's reinforcing, I go home and I'm with my kids and I'm like, you know what? I can practice this a little differently. I can be better all the time. Those are some ideas that I would have. Others might have other suggestions, but I always starting from a strength-based approach. Actually, when I do a parental assessment, I'm going to look at where they're strong and I'm going to start there and, talk to parents. So that whole strength-based approach is absolutely key. None of us hear very well when we're talking about our deficiencies. There's that buzzing right in your ears.
Yeah. No, that's very
helpful. My answer wouldn't be any different than that.
Does that help, Catherine? I think we talked on the phone yesterday. That's pretty cool.
We did talk on the phone yesterday. It helps somewhat, but I serve a client base where um, I do offer at each point, and I suggest that it has helped me. And like you've said, but I still get a lot of no's, and so I'm trying to overcome those no thank yous.
Well, and I always liken it, part of what we're doing with social marketing is like saying everybody likes to drink Diet Coke, right? We're trying to say, okay, well, if we want to get people to drink water, we've got to market it like Diet Coke. Well, it's kind of like that with parenting education. We're trying to change that, how it's marketed and presented, so there isn't that resistance, that there's more interest, like, oh, there's all these benefits, it's going to be fun. I'm going to like this. And it doesn't mean I'm a bad parent. It means I'm a good parent. But really, social marketing isn't even about being a good parent. It's like, this is just what the cool parents are doing. It can be even that, maybe sounds shallow, but it's really big. So that's our goal, is to make what you do easier, that people will, take it up. And the other thing I think about parenting education in general, I remember trying to go to my first LH League meeting. It's once a month. This was in Raleigh, North Carolina. I missed the first meeting. A month went by. Well, I missed the second meeting. I missed the third. And it would stick in the back of my head. And, you need something to kind of push you forward. And I always think it's like when you're jumping rope, and other people are twirling and you're trying to figure out when you can jump in, how you gauge it. When can I finally jump in? Because my schedule is so busy. I can't figure out when to get there. Every time I get the baby in the car seat, they have a blowout and then I have to nurse them and blah, blah, blah. Like, how am I ever going to get somewhere and do something new? And it's kind of that consistent encouragement and support. And hey, I'll go with you. People go to parenting classes when they go with a friend. My first class, I don't even really hold class. It's just like a tech support kind of thing. And let's go through the pre-assessments kind of stuff. But my main reason is to say, who will come with you? Who's also parenting your child, so they can learn this information at the same time? That way you're not fighting against parenting styles. We can get a whole talk about that. But we want to make it easier.
I'd like to emphasize the importance of consistency in meeting days and times as well. That's really, really important. And I can speak to Babies, formerly La Leche League, still La Leche League. We'll talk about that in December. But, our first Friday meeting, which was this morning, it has consistently been on first Fridays at 10 a.m. for over 30 years. I mean, that's, people know, we've changed locations, but we've only changed locations 3 times in 30 years. So that's really important, of being consistent, where people know they can show up, and that can be virtual as well. Specifically talking about Babies, we have 3 meetings a month. The day of the month is consistent, but we meet in 2 different physical locations, and then we have 1 meeting that is always going to be virtual.
I posted some questions in the chat, and I would love to get your responses. Again, this is that marketing side of me that's working on learning. And I'd love to hear from you. I'd love to, if you know parents who'd be interested in becoming part of our parent leadership group. We think that's really important. I'd love to know if you're, families or kind of community natural leaders who might be interested in becoming a La Leche League leader, or, accredited, or a parenting educator, or, any of the things we're doing, a support group facilitator. We really want to try to expand to the upper 8 counties in Tennessee. And we have, anybody can come to our Zoom classes, and, we're trying to do better about really expanding what we do. I will add this too. I was thinking about this earlier. I have a lot of relationships with press because of other work I do. And this is TV, newspaper. When I reach out and say, hey, can we do this? Can you promote this? They love it. They say, we love hearing this. So if you have programs, don't hesitate to reach out to folks. They want to support it. It's a little tedious keeping up with all of it, but I think you'll find that there's, working together and working with media can really help normalize parenting and get people to be less resistant to participating. You have to go enough to find the benefits. Meeting a friend there helps. Those are some simple basics.
Well, I think that's a great call to action for us to kind of wrap up with, because there are so many wonderful resources in the region, but we need more. Like you said, we need more parenting education opportunities to really make it the normal and make it accessible. And I think that's a great call to action. How can we expand this effort and really saturate the region, by communicating and building the workforce and all those things. So I know we're a little bit past the 1 o'clock hour. So I just wanted to thank everybody for joining us who are here today. Like you all said, we had a wonderful group. Don't forget to claim your continuing education credits. And just thank you again, Samantha and Catherine. And certainly if Katie and I will be on, I imagine you all are able to stay on for a few minutes if anyone has other questions or discussions. But
Karen, may I ask for one question and get people to just use your emoji thing to reaction to the bottom of the screen? How many people would like to come see us at the Parenting Suite and see what we have to offer? Just use the reaction thing. Doesn't matter what, thumbs up, whatever.
Okay. We could do it.
Okay, great. So I think Samantha, our next thing is we might need to do a couple more open houses.
We love that. We'll have treats. That food's always good too. Food, childcare, transportation. Oh, great. Thank you all so much.
And Samantha, we do have a question that I think you're better suited to answer, which is, are some of the programs available for Spanish speakers?
So we're working on that. We can offer classes in in Spanish. I do that. I do breastfeeding support in Spanish if you have somebody who needs that kind of help. I teach nurturing parenting program, which is called Crianza con Cariño, in Spanish. But to formalize that on a regular basis, that's something we're working up to. That's a goal.
That's really helpful to know. I did not read that in your list of parenting program certifications. I did not realize that was nurturing parenting in Spanish. Shows a bit of my own Spanish, but that's wonderful that you're available for Spanish speaking classes.
Well,
and we certainly can send out any information that you'd like. Of course, the recording will be available on our website, and even these questions that you posted for the group, if you wanted us to send those out to the participants today so you can get more feedback on those. Katie could do that. Just we'll check with you after the meeting.
That would be great. Thank you.
Folks, everybody come back and see us on December 2nd. We'll be talking about babies, Appalachian Highland healthy babies, and breastfeeding.
Thank you.
All right. Thank you, everyone. I hope you have a good rest of the day. So lots of thanks in chats. Jessica Harmon provided some feedback on your questions and would love to take parenting classes for elementary to preteen focus.
Awesome.
Scheduling is a struggle.
Always.
Feel that struggle.
Well, thank you all for attending. These are so nice.
Yeah, it was a great group. Well, that was really helpful. I literally do have like a 3-column page of notes and some stars to follow up on. So
I would love any feedback, anything you have too. I appreciate that. I told you we just closed the show on Sunday. I'm like,
I know.
busy.
Busy. Well, I want to make sure that some of our staff are signed up for your Parenting Suite newsletter. I have already been signed up, but I want to make sure some of our staff I'm going to recommend training and coming to your sessions so that they can get familiar with that. So yeah, I'm gonna do some follow-up, but that was wonderful. Thank you both.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Bye.